This is part 2 of why Jeffrey Dahmer was undetected by the Milwaukee Police Department. As I mentioned in my first video, he was targeting nothing but African Americans and Hispanics. This just made it very easy for him because most of these cases were ignored by the Milwaukee Police Department at the time. Another thing that made it just very simple was he was choosing victims from around his apartment complex, just picking them up from the club and bringing them back home where they would just disappear. But here's the main reason why it was just very easy for him to get away with all this. It made it very hard for the police. It was actually because there was no evidence or bodies. He was not getting rid of all the bodies. Instead, he was just making them disappear. So there was no evidence left behind. I'm going to give you an example. In 1978 through 1981, there were 28 African American kids missing in Atlanta, Georgia. But this case was so much different because the bodies started to come out. The serial killer was actually getting rid of all these bodies, which left evidence behind. But here's what really sold the case. It was actually the victims who were complaining to the news. So it just made it public. This put a lot of pressure in the Atlanta Police Department. At the end of this case, there were 100 detectives. They even had to request help from the FBI. And in 1981, the serial killer was arrested.